Just pretend that you're one with the syrup. That's a quote from Mythbusters that makes absolutely no sense if taken out of context. And we're not even going to be swimming in syrup for that matter, we're going to be swimming in water. Because this is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Mega Man X, and in this episode, we're actually going to finish off the remaining Mavericks. So that's right, they're going to be done. We'll gain access to the Sigma stages in this very episode. However, we won't quite be done with all the stages just yet, because backtracking in the X series is noticeably more extensive than the classic series, and part of that is on me. I'm not going to be trying to take routes that fully eliminate backtracking. I'm just going to take the routes that I enjoy a lot, ones that I find improve the pacing of the game, and that allow me to get the leg parts as early as possible, for the most part. And so now we're actually facing off against Launch Octopus. In Japan, his name is known as Launch Octopuld. Okay, I'll stop with that. Well, no, I won't. What am I saying? But it is a very strange name, Launcher Octopuld. What? That is so weird that they use, pseudo-English. It's the uncanny valley of languages, and also sometimes his Japanese name is written as Octopardo, which is just weird and bad. That's bad transliteration. Don't write it that way. That comes from the Japanese pronunciation of the last part of his name, which would be pronounced in Japanese as Octopardo. I think I'm butchering that, but whatever. It's something like that, and they just sort of pronounce it like that, and so some people just figured to spell it as Octopardo. And that's not the only weird thing about Launch Octopus and weird spellings or transliterations or whatever. His weapon is called the Horming Torpedo. Not the homing torpedo, the Horming Torpedo. Oh dear, what went wrong? Why would you misspell that? I get Octopardo, that's just bad transliteration. I mean, it's at least understandable, but here it's what? A Horming Torpedo? I don't even know how you could make that mistake. That is so strange. The underwater physics, in case any of y'all are wondering, they work the same way they did in the classic series, so there's nothing you really need to learn about it. It's just the same thing as before. You just jump higher and that's about it. However, there are some unique things about water to the X series, but that doesn't come up until later games, so I won't be talking about that right now. However, there is something else that's interesting about Launch Octopus. The fight with him. You can actually use a weapon to cut off his tentacles. It's the Boomerang Cutter. And in doing so, that prevents him from doing his whirlwind attack, or typhoon attack? Spiral water thingy. It's escaping me for some reason. Anyway, you can do that to make your life quite a bit easier. He can also unleash some other torpedoes with his tentacles, and those are annoying to dodge. So you can use that to, cut off his tentacles, which is very interesting. That's not actually his weakness, though. His weakness is, of course, as it says on screen, the rolling shield. So, of course, we have these fish enemies, and they're pretty annoying because they can just inhale you and suck you in and capture you. That can be pretty annoying, so you'll have to shoot your way out of them. And plus, they drain your health while you're inside them. So, right here, we're facing off against Launch Octopus. So of course, you should chop off his tentacles because that does noticeably make the fight less of a pain. And if you ain't got his weakness, then my strategy is simple. Fire like an angry chimpanzee! Just keep firing at him, which incidentally was also the strategy I used for Boomer Kuwanger, who, on a side note, also is weak to the Horming Torpedo. And yes, I do insist on calling it the Horming Torpedo, because they typoed it, and I love making fun of typos. In all seriousness, now it's time to show off an alternate version of the fight. The one with his tentacles, so I will show off his attack that allows him to drain your health, and I won't be cutting off his tentacles. So this is pretty neat that they gave you the option to, like, cut off his tentacles. That's not something you see a whole lot, either in the Classic series or the X series. Bosses that can actually be affected by weapons other than their weaknesses. I mean, Springman, you could turn him into an electromagnet, but not a whole lot of that happens. Anyway, now we're going to be fighting Armored Armadillo next, and say it with me, his name in Japan is Armor Armarge. Someone's probably gonna make a compilation of all the times I say in Japan, or like his Japanese name is. Like, people are going to be relentlessly making fun of that. And yeah, I just can't help it, though. There are some interesting name differences. And of course, Armor Armarge is a name that sounds like it almost is English, but not quite. It's weird. It's just so strangely English, yet it's not an English word. Why would they do this? This is very strange. It's pseudo-English. And for the record, Armored Armadillo is based on the Screaming Hairy Armadillo. Yes, that's its actual common name. It is in fact called the Screaming Hairy Armadillo. And yes, it does scream, and yes, it is hairy, so it very much lives up to its name. That's just kind of funny that they did base him off of such an animal with a very strange name. But there are a few neat things about the Armored Armadillo stage. There's actually a neat secret that I won't be showing off in this video, but I will be showing off in the next one, so stay tuned for that. It has something to do with the end. I'll just save that for later. That's just a hint. Armored Armadillo has a pretty decent weapon. It's not my favorite, though. I do really enjoy his stage, though. That is pretty good. I like how exciting and fast-paced it is. It's just quite a bit of fun playing through. However, the fight with Armored Armadillo without his weakness is basically a war of attrition, because you just have to keep firing like crazy, and you just fire like a crazed chimpanzee once again. And this time, however, you have to jump over his shots. So, like, you just keep firing small shots as well, because you can, like, reflect that back to you, like he'll charge up and then release a blast. So that strategy seems to just be showing up quite a bit. That is pretty annoying that they'd have you reuse that same strategy in 3 different bosses, where the same strategy is just fire like a crazed chimpanzee. Except this time you have to jump over his shots. You can't just shoot at them. Of course, you kind of sometimes had to do that for Boomer Clanger, but I mean, not really to the same extent. And still, this is kind of annoying and boring. However, like, I just felt that I wanted to show off what he's like without his weakness. And plus, the other reason I'm tackling Armored Armadillo first is because, honestly, the Electric Spark is the worst weapon in the game. I wish I could say it was better, but yeah, it kinda sucks. It's not very good, it's very slow, it does very little damage, and it's just not that great. Charged up, however, it is fairly decent, it's not bad. I kind of like it when you charge it up, however, in comparison to, like, say, other weapons, it's alright at best. I wish I could say it was better, but it's not. However, I do find the fight with Armored Armadillo to be a bit fun dodging him. He's actually more fun if you remove the armor, because, like, then he's not immune to charge shots, which the fact that he can just, like, charge that up and shoot that at you just serves to waste your time, and it makes it into a bit of a war of attrition. But I do find it fun dodging him. It's just kind of annoying that most of the fight isn't that. And when you look at that, I beat him without even taking any damage. That's what practice will do to you, and boy, I have practiced this game quite a bit. I actually did some preliminary practicing before even starting this LP, because, you know, I wanted to be as prepared as possible for the game's challenges. I wanted to, like, refamiliarize myself with it, because, you know, it had been a while since I played it last, so of course I may have been, like, rusty, and I wanted to, like, oil that out and get rid of the rust. That's not a very good pun, I admit. However, now we're tackling Spark Mandrill's stage, and right off the bat you can find the 4th sub-tank. Is the 4th? It's one of the 4 sub-tanks pretty early on in the stage. And we also have the rolling shield, which is kind of a pretty decent weapon. It's not spectacular, but it can be useful if you charge it up, and you can then use it to protect yourself from enemies that just die in a few hits, because you can plow through them that way, and that's pretty enjoyable. I like being able to just plow through everything. And Spark Mandrill's stage itself is very fun. I very much like it. It is one of my favorite stages in the game. However, the reason I'm tackling him last is, as I've said, that I don't like his weapon. It is just not very good. It's alright if you charge it, however, if you charge it, you run into another problem. It doesn't contain that much weapon energy, so of course, using it as a charged weapon doesn't really work as a strategy either, so yeah. Also in Japan, his name is Spark Mandriller. I think that's supposed to be a pun, but I don't really get it, because, like, how's that got anything to do with him? He's not got a drill on his hand. He doesn't drill. His weapon isn't a drill. He has, like, absolutely nothing to do with actual drills. And I don't mean the animal drill. He's a mandrill, not a drill. And his stage is also one of the stages that can actually be changed, depending on which boss you fight. If you tackle Storm Eagle's stage first, then the stage actually becomes torn up and destroyed. It actually causes the lights to flicker quite a bit, and the fight with the Spark Mandrill is so infamously easy that people have coined a name for the problems resulting from this fight against Spark Mandrill with his weakness, Spark Mandrill Syndrome. And it's so easy that I'm actually not even going to use his weakness, because I want to show off what the fight is like without his weakness, fighting him legitimately, and I must admit, it is very fun fighting him without his weakness. It's just that, like, since his weakness is the ice shotgun, and most people tackle Chill Penguin first, well, do the math. That means that, like, they'll have his weakness, and they'll be able to just, like, use it and spam it against him, and he just becomes a complete joke. I'll talk more about exactly what that means later, because I'm showing off the stage change, and I figure I may as well show off what the fight is like with his weakness as well. It's a very fun fight without his weakness. It's just a shame that the weakness just completely destroys any fun you could have with the fight, because he's stupidly easy. So you see how much I had to focus on the fight? How much I had to put into it? How energetic it was? Remember that for later. And now it's time to show off the stage difference, because right here you can see that the power's running, and of course there's some electricity flowing from the things, and that can damage you, so that may be one reason you'll want to take on Storm Eagle first, but it's really no big deal, it's still pretty easy. The ice shotgun, of course, I absolutely love that weapon. I've said that before, it's very useful. It's like the freeze cracker from Mega Man 7, except good. That was just awful. I mean, it was more mediocre, I guess, but still, it would have been nice if, like, it split off when it hit anything the way that the ice shotgun does, and plus, being able to, like, get them spread out would be able to damage a lot of other enemies. Also, this mini-boss right here is very fun. Of course, it's very fun to just use your agility to dodge the attacks and get over and under the boss, the mini-boss, and it's very fun. I like how this series manages to allow you to turn agility into a weapon in and of itself. This really wasn't the case for the classic series, and it will, I think, be refined in that regard in the coming games. Although, trust me, we'll get to the elephant in the room eventually in a future playthrough when we get to Mega Man X7. Oh boy, I will have a lot to say about that. But as you can see, it looks a lot more colorful, and it's very pretty, and it just looks a lot more lively, and I like that. It looks very appealing to look at. It's a shame that, like, they made these stage changes for, like, a couple stages to be fairly bland. Like, in a Flame Mammoth stage, the stage looks very good without the stage change. Except no one ever sees that, because they always take on Chill Penguin first. So, of course, like, when they do that, then that means that you just don't get the full experience. You don't see what it's like. And this stage looks really good, and it's just very appealing to look at. When you get to Spark Mandrill himself, he is so easy with his weakness. You just freeze him once, he unfreezes, freeze him again, he unfreezes, freeze him again, rinse and repeat, and he goes down without a fight. It's just insufferably easy. So you know how I told y'all to remember the fight and how it was before? Well, look at this! Let's pay attention to how easy it is with his weakness. So of course, you just shoot him, you freeze him, he unfreezes, freeze him again, he unfreezes, rinse and repeat, and he goes down so easy. It's ridiculous. Seriously? That's kind of annoying. But the sprite size of this game is one thing that I very much do enjoy. That was one of my criticisms of Mega Man 7. Its sprite size was just not very fitting. Your field of view was too small relative to everything. The sprite size in this game just gives you a nice view of your surroundings, but I'll talk more about that in the next video. Finally, we've found Sigma's fortress. Let's go in and put a stop to his war against the humans. And this is the Mississippi King signing out, and in the next episode we'll do some backtracking and start on Sigma's fortress. See y'all then.